Hey guys, just posting a video here about the about kind of my experience with prosthetics and what I've gone through in that whole aspect of this ordeal. I mean, I've kind of I've touched on this in a few of the other videos before, but I basically in the hospital I started looking at prosthetics right away, thinking that I was gonna have to pay for them out of pocket. And so the really affordable, the most affordable and best overall option I came across, it was called the Hero Arm. If you haven't looked into it, feel free to look into it. It's by a company called Open Bionics. It's not the best hand on the market. It's kind of it's basically a 3D printed, just a less expensive version of like an iLim or a Autobot kind of thing. It doesn't have many features and stuff, but that's the reason it's less expensive. It has, and with my insurance, I was actually only qualified, come to find out, for 2 prosthetics anyway when it comes to a myoelectric. One being a generic version that pretty much looked like this one I've been practicing with. It looks like a fake hand. It only does open and close, one grip pattern. And the Hero Arm does, I want to say 6 or 8. So you can do different grip patterns. You can do a whole hand. You can adjust the thumb back and forth to where you want it. So you can do a little bit more with that. What are the difference between, say, like the iLim and this one that I have sitting here and the one I'm getting? These ones are a little more generic looking, but they are stronger. I think these ones do almost between 20 to 30 pounds. And the one I'm getting does just under 20. So you got to consider that, what you're going to be using it for and stuff as well. And I've gotten asked a lot of questions about how this thing's work, because I posted a video on me kind of playing with it and stuff. So maybe I'll just kind of show you how this thing works real quick as well. But backtracking back to my story, so I found out that there was only one place that even sold the Hero Arm, because it's brand new technology. Like I've kind of mentioned before, it's only been available in the United States since April, May, I think, is when they started shipping them over here. It comes from the UK. And yeah, when I was in the hospital, that's pretty much what I came down to, not knowing what I was going to have to deal with. So I looked into places that sold that, and that's when I found the Hanger Clinic. And I went in there, and they've been awesome so far. Well, for the most part. There are a couple things I want to touch on with that. When it came to my myoelectric, on the day I went in, they have these little sensors that hook up to your arm, and they're having problems with one of the sensors or getting it to work right. So I'm sitting here trying to make this arm or this hand move, and for some reason it's not moving. And then they're like, oh, well, the sensor's not working. And for some reason they didn't have another sensor. And then, yeah, they were having, it made me feel like it was my fault. Like there was nothing I was doing something wrong. But come to find out, it was just their equipment was not functioning properly. And the same with when I got this loaner hand. When I went in to get it, we turned it on and I used it fine a couple times, and all of a sudden it wouldn't open back up. I could get it to close, but it wouldn't open back up. And come to find out, they had to put new batteries in it because it's a little mobile. It's also actually a little 3D printed unit. So yeah, the batteries were dead. We put new batteries in it, and it's been fine since then. So for me, what I'm doing is, since my insurance is helping pay for most of the myoelectric, I opted to pay for the body powered out of pocket, and then my insurance is pretty much helping pay for most of the actual hero arm. And I don't remember what I think it starts off at like 13 to 15,000 for that hero arm, and it goes up depending on, you know, how much work they have to do, how big it has to be, how much material they use, all that stuff. I mean, when it came to my body powered unit, when I first went in, they said, you know, probably, you know, $5, $6, maybe $7,000. Well, when it was all said and done, they sent me the bill. It was after a little over $4,000 discount for paying up front and not having to do, I guess they do financing for things like that if you need it. But since I didn't have to do the financing, I got a huge discount. But it was still like a little over $8,200, about $8,300 for that body powered unit. But yeah, I opted to just pay for that, and then that way my insurance would cover the other one, and it's the bigger cost of the two. So that's the option I went. So when I went in, they kind of do both. They cast me for both arms at the same time, and then I've only been back one. This will be actually my second time I've been back, and it's pretty much almost ready. I'll go back in about a little over a week, and it'll be all ready to go. I'll bring it out the door. Of course, I'll show you guys. I'll post a video and show you guys how that one works and stuff. And then from then, we'll do a few of the last little adjustments and marks for placing my little sensors for my myoelectric hand, and then we'll send that off. It takes 6 to 10 weeks for that bionic, that myoelectric hero arm to be made and sent back. So that one will be around Christmas time, hopefully. Maybe the beginning of January. We'll see. So when we went in initially, I also have. So if you've had skin grafts, or if you've had an amputation, you probably know how those work. Sometimes you need just a graft, and sometimes you need, it's called an actual flap. A skin graft, they just take a layer of skin from somewhere and slap it over, and it's good to go. A flap, they actually take a thicker amount of skin with a little bit of muscle tissue on it. And they're a little more, a flap is also a little more durable than a graft. Initially, they told me I was going to have to get a flap, but after a bunch of people looked at it, they said I would probably be okay just getting a graft. And that in itself has also come into play, as far as some problems coming up with the prosthetics, because if you can kind of see my bone, it sticks out kind of right there where that skin graft is, and I can't feel anything on there. And it's just a graft, not a flap. So I just worry about that bone poking through the skin. You can kind of see it there, but everybody said it's going to be fine. So and when it comes to my prosthetics and stuff, they put they formed it around that and left a little extra cushion so they can kind of backfill that area with like some gel padding on the inside. So that'll help, alleviate a lot of the pressure and stuff that might be on there. But we'll see. I mean, everybody could say it's fine, and I might end up needing to go back and rip this whole graft off and getting an actual flap put on. But so far, it's been fine. The only problem I've come across is with the sensors and doing the myoelectric reading with these things is my arm, when it was reconstructed, the muscles must have been kind of twisted back together, because it's hard for me to get one side to move while the other side stays relaxed. And that's basically how you control this thing. One of these goes on one side, there's another one that goes on the other side. You basically contract and relax some, contract one side to open and relax the other, and then vice versa. You contract the other side and relax the other, and that determines how you open and close it. And then, so what they did was, they kind of just, told me to start moving, pretending I was moving my hand and flexing so they could see where muscles were, and they found a few spots they thought might work, and like I said, the equipment wasn't working properly that day. And that brings up another issue I want to touch base on is, I kept telling these guys, like, I trust you know what you're doing, that you got this. And, when this wasn't working out and these sensors weren't working, and they thought it was me or a problem with my arm, they automatically started saying, well, you might have to go with this other cheaper option, or this other more basic option, because we can only find one site. Which ideally you want to have at least two sites when it comes to myoelectrics. You can do one, but it starts to limit your amount of grips and things you can do. But it is possible, they said, that you can have one site, and you could do like a double tap and it does one thing, and you could do like a triple tap and it does something else. You can kind of program them to do what you want for what you may need and whatever your specific, kind of amputation may be, or however, your muscles are working and stuff. So they told me, oh, we can't get this, we can't get you to get it to open and close, or we don't know what's going on. It could be our equipment, so we're just going to have you come back. And well, that's not true. At first they said, do you want to consider this other option? And I thought about it, and that's where I kind of put my foot down, and it was like, no, I don't want this generic hand. I want that hero arm. If I have to, I'll come in every day, and I'll hook up to your machine here, and I can see what I can do. I mean, one of the things you got to realize, with these amputations is you basically stop using those finger muscles and stuff. And they kind of lose their strength, so you basically got to kind of relearn how to use those and start firing up again to get them, working right. So they found one on the outside. They said, all right, we got this outside one, but every time you flex it, the inside flexes as well. And again, the equipment was messed up, so I left there. I was pretty upset. They weren't sure if the hero arm could do one side or not. I felt like they were just trying to sell me something at that point and not give me what I wanted. But I'm glad I stuck to my guns, because what they did was they ended up ordering in this practice unit that I could take home. Well, at first what they said was, go home, it'll probably be about a week, practice what you can, try to see, just feel on your arm, see if you can just feel muscles contracting and while the other one's relaxing, and see if you find something and come back to us, and then, kind of tell us what you found. And yeah, so I came back in to get this test unit, and that's how it was. I was like, all right, well, I think I got two things set up, and so they hooked me up, and I was able to open and close it a few times just fine, and then all of a sudden it didn't want to, open. And he didn't know what the problem was. He was saying maybe there was some cross interference, blah, blah, blah. And then, he's like, well, let me go try another hand. Maybe it's the actual hand that's not working. Let's try a new one and put a new one on there. And then he came back, and he's like, oh, I guess, I didn't check the battery. The battery was just dead. And it works fine. And so he just said, take it home and play with it. We didn't hook it back up and try it right then. So I brought it home. I have they kind of mark some sites, with Sharpie. You can see those little dots. There's one there and one. it's going to be hard to see, but like right in here, there's another site that we found. And basically my job this week is to kind of keep those marks fresh, and just keep kind of practicing, make sure I got it down good, which at this point I'm pretty sure I got it perfected almost. I can open and close it. I can open it slow and fast. And I'll show you how that works. So, like I said, I got those 2 sites on the outside of my skin. Sometimes they say take some water or some like hand sanitizer or something. It helps with the signal. I just put lots some water on there. And then I just got, this is just kind of to hold the, it's just a, you know, a wristband to kind of hold those sensors in place. And so I kind of put that on there. And then this is my open sensor, which goes on the outside here. Bear with me, this might take a second. Put that one there about. This is my close sensor. Goes about right there. And so then basically turn this guy on. And let's see if I can get a better angle on this here, so you can see the lights and everything. Okay. So I turn it on, and you can see there's two bars there, and each one is a sensor, and it tells you, you know, how strong of a signal you're getting from that sensor. So, you know, there's my open. You can see the open side goes way up, and you can see my thumb. I'm trying to relax. And so the way I'm opening this is everybody's different, kind of. Sometimes you can just move your wrist. You can pretend you're moving your wrist back and forth and get it to open and close. With mine, it was a little different. It's a little trickier. For mine, the open works fine this way, but when it comes to closing, what I'm really doing in my head is I'm just pushing my thumb down like this, and that causes it to close. And you can see those two little lights, you know, it tells you which signal's stronger, and you basically practice looking at those lights while, you know, flexing those muscles, and try to learn how to keep that one side quiet while you're, you know, using the other side. So yeah, mine, I mean, I'll kind of do some opening and closing. Seems like the battery might be starting to go dead again. So here's open and close. Open. Close. Sometimes it's hard to get used to remembering how to. And it can be really exhausting relearning how to do these muscles. And you might be able to do it 4 or 5 times, and then you sit there and struggle, like you can't get it to move. But I think I've got it down pretty good to where I can open and close it. And then if you do it really gently, you can do like a really slow, whoops. Let me try. You can kind of control how fast it opens by how hard you flex that muscle. And this is just a practice hand, like I said. It's not the actual hand you'll see me with. It'll be a while before I'll be able to post a video about that one, but everybody was just kind of curious, you know, how this guy works. And that's pretty much it. I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, these sensors just, you can crank up the sensitivity on them too. So say, you know, you this one, maybe this one's firing one at the same time as this one. So maybe you need to turn the sensitivity down on this side so it doesn't get confused and try to open and close at the same time. But your prosthetic clinic, they'll take care of all that stuff and get it all finely tuned for you. I mean, if you can get it open and close, I mean, that's the biggest thing. And like I said, don't give up. If you feel like you can't do it, just practice until you get it. I was worried that I wasn't going to get it to work. I had sleepless nights. I mean, you're already worried about so much shit. I mean, having another thing on your plate is never fun, but having this, being able to get this to my house and sit here without anybody stressing me out, you know, and do it at my own leisure, I think that was awesome. And it seems like a lot of people don't have that or haven't had that opportunity. So look into it. Like I said, I go to Hanger Clinic. It's a nationwide clinic. They're all over the place. They've been around for a really long time. So, you know, it's not like they don't know what they're doing. You know, I'm sure there's specific locations that might have crappy employees, just like every business, but all I can tell you is my experience with the place here. And I live just outside of Spokane, Washington, if you don't know already. And that's Washington State. So yeah, that's it. Just kind of wanted to show you guys how this thing worked, how it hooked up. This unit just basically runs off of a 9-volt battery. You don't have to plug it in or anything. And yeah, I'll post another video next week, if not sooner, to show you that actual hook hand and how I got that all set up. If you're a part of the amputee group, go check it out. Or if you're, you know, if you're my friend on Facebook, I posted some pictures. You can kind of see what the internals are going to look like. So all those pictures are kind of the internals of my arm, and then it'll actually have, I'm just doing like a black carbon kind of look on the outside. So in all those pictures, you see kind of like a clear mold. That's just the inside part. That's not how it's actually going to look. So I'll show you guys all that when it comes to, and in the meantime, like always, if I have another video or a thought, I'll post it. Have a good day.